You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Sobrang simple na actually dapat yung expectation natin sa high quality jobs. Expectation natin, ekonomiya, hindi nag-produce ng things, nag-produce ng trabaho and kita for every family. I mean, what else is the economy for naman, di ba? Kung di to provide for yung pangailangan ng mga people working in that economy, living in that country.
Hi, I'm Tatiana Manigro Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka. In this episode, we talk about the Philippine job market. Ano nga ba ang high-quality job? And if vibrant nga yung job market natin, bakit ang hirap makahanap ng trabaho? In July, the Philippine Statistics Authority found that 4.7% of Filipinos did not have a job. That's around 2.38 million Filipinos. This is a slight dip from July of last year, which saw nearly 5% of unemployed Filipinos. So on paper, the Philippines job market is looking pretty good. So it should be easy to get a job, right? Despite the lower unemployment rate year on year, Filipinos are struggling to land a job. This is especially true for fresh grads. And in July, they accounted for 45% of unemployed Filipinos. So bakit nga ba ang hirap makahanap ng trabaho? For the government, the employability of our graduates is one thing. The Philippines implemented the K-12 curriculum in 2012 to make graduates more globally competitive. And it also came with the promise that you could land a job as a senior high school grad. So bali hindi mo na kailangang mag-proceed sa college para makakuha ng magandang trabaho. But a recent survey by the Philippine Business for Education found that only 46% of companies have been hiring senior high graduates, and employers still prefer hiring college grads. So the government is trying to boost the employability of senior high grads by giving them more work immersion hours, and they're possibly looking to tweak the curriculum as well. But for Ibon Foundation's Executive Director, Sonny Africa, the blame shouldn't be put on the graduates looking for jobs.
Ang fundamental problem, yung character ekonomiya natin is not creating the jobs. And jobs aren't created by the employees. Jobs are created by the economy. So sa amin, kung di masapal ang government na the fundamental problem for the lack of quality jobs in the Philippines is because structurally, bumagsak ang agriculture natin to its smallest share of the economy in the country's history. Bumagsak ang manufacturing to its smallest share in 75 years compared to 1949, mas maliit tayo. So kung maghahanap ka ng pinaka-quality, pinaka-regular jobs, pinaka-formal jobs, kung maghahanap ka ng economic dynamism that does create a really vibrant jobs market, ang hanapin mo dyan, ano yung industrial base mo. But the thing is, if you're diminishing your Filipino industrialists, if you're replacing it with mga foreign manufacturers na nasa mga engklabo lamang, sa mga export zones, importing 80% to 90% of their products, tapos yung mga Pilipino, assembly testing lang, those are local actually. Those aren't quality jobs in terms of the economy. It's not so productive eh.
So Sonny mentions high-quality jobs. And it's something that economic managers like NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says the government is actually trying to make more of. So ano nga bang high-quality job na yan? Sonny thinks a high-quality job has to have three things.
Ang high-quality job is, one, it's regular. Wala yung volatility na makita ka in 1 month, mawala the following month. Secondly, decent yung kita. I mean, for a decent standard of living, hindi lang poverty level or subsistence level. Kailangan talaga may may quality of life na naabot. We're not comparing ourselves to the cavemen naman. Ang comparison natin dapat yung potential to create decent living for every Filipino. Tapos third, of course, kailangan may protections. Unavoidable naman sa economy, there is going to be may shifts naman yan on a month-to-month, quarterly, may nangyari na pandemic, may nangyari na mga global crisis, pero kailangan may protection yung workers from the economy na kahit magkaroon ng konting disruption, tuloy pa rin yung kanilang kita at yung standard of living ng kanilang pamilya.
So high-quality job needs to have decent and consistent pay and protections against volatility in the economy. And Sonny thinks the Philippines has a long way to go from achieving this.
Ang layo-layo natin from an economy that's creating stable jobs. Secondly, ang layo din natin from economy creating decent incomes. I mean, it's so surprising for many. Even yung minimum wage natin ngayon in all but one region, NCR, out of the country's 17 regions, 16 regions have minimum wages lower in value now than in 1989. That's 35 years ago. So sa amin, in terms of yung level of income, even among those benefiting from the minimum wage, kasi not everyone benefits from the minimum wage, especially sa mga unregulated enterprises, the mandated wage now is lower than 35 years ago. In terms of social protection, okay, nakaramdam tayo, I think, yung nung panahon ng pandemya, yung burst of ayuda. Sa amin, gusto namin i-treat as positive. It means if the government wants to, it can provide substantial social protection sa mga tao na disrupt ang kanilang hanap buhay. Pero unfortunately right now, we're talking about the social protection system na napakanipis. We don't have unemployment benefits. But even actually yung health benefits natin, napakababaw.
So we're still a long way from creating these high-quality jobs, but the government says it's making good progress. During his third SONA, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said investments from his trips abroad are creating these high-quality jobs for Filipinos.
Our aggressive infrastructure development, business-friendly policies, investment and export promotions, foreign visits, and economic missions are all aimed at generating not just jobs, but quality and competitive jobs. A substantial number of investment pledges have already commenced operations, with many more at various stages of development. Sa bilang natin, bukod sa malalaking kita para sa bansa, makakalikha ang mga ito ng mahigit 200,000 trabaho para sa ating mga kababayan.
These investment projects brought in about $1.2 billion in capital to the country. And Marcos says his government is trying to make the Philippines an even more business-friendly environment for foreign firms. But Sonny warns, foreign investors may have a different agenda.
May kailangan ma-appreciate yung government eh. Foreign investment is here to make a profit. It's not here to develop the economy. It's not here to create jobs. Foreign investors will only create as many jobs as profitable for them. So may one super basic principle na I think should be accepted. If we want to create Filipino manufacturing, we cannot rely on foreign investors using the Philippines as an address for their manufacturing enterprises. Kailangan masapol yung point na yun eh. Kasi kung masapol yung point na yun, it means we will realize no matter how many foreign manufacturers come here, and they've been coming here for decades. Intel's second overseas plant was in the Philippines. The first was in Malaysia in 1970 to 1973. The second was in the Philippines. All the mga headlines at that time, Intel invests 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. Over its whole 35 years here, $1.5 billion in Intel investments in the country. O di ba, endorphin rush? Wow, huge foreign investments. In terms of exports, there was a time pinagmamalaki the Philippines one of the biggest semiconductor exporters in the world, which is actually true. If you measure the value in the exports from Intel at that time, there were times in 1 year, $3, $4, $5 billion worth of semiconductor exports from the Philippines. Wow, another endorphin rush. The Philippines is a semiconductor investor. Tapos job creation from about, I think, 1,200, 1,300 jobs in Intel in 1970s or 1970s. It reached about 2,000 yata by the time they left in 2008, 2009. So again, endorphin rush. Foreign investor, high-tech creates jobs.
So when one of the biggest tech firms in the world set up shop in the Philippines, the government expected it to not only bring in new jobs, but to help equip Filipinos with the skills they needed to become globally competitive chip makers. And that's what should have happened, right? But Sonny says not a lot of skills were transferred to the local semiconductor producers during Intel's 3-decade stay here.
We're giving away everything. Subsidies, support dun sa mapag-develop industrial sites, all the mga tax breaks, fiscal incentives, just to make them come here. Yeah, they come here, but what did they leave behind? Nothing. When Intel left after about 30 years, I think, in the Philippines, when they left, after all the gloating of the Philippines na, oh, we're one of the biggest producers of semiconductors in the world, one of the high-tech manufacturers. When Intel left, packed up, I think they went to Vietnam and Thailand, wala na iwan sa Pilipinas.
Now, 15 years after Intel left the Philippines for cheaper labor in China, the U.S. government vowed to help develop the local semiconductor industry. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo visited the Philippines in March this year, And she says they want to see the number of semiconductor assembly, packing, and testing facilities here double from the current 13. And for Sonny, the news just brought in a wave of deja vu.
The American investors are coming and saying, we're going to help you develop your semiconductors. Just, give us our perks, give us our duty-free imports, give us our fiscal incentives, give us a nice, cheap kuryente, give us a nice export zone, give us nice beaches to go to. Promise we're gonna invest in you. That's exactly what Intel did and promised over the 35 years they were here. What's gonna happen after another 35 years? All these mga new firms gonna come in. If the Philippine government doesn't ask for technology transfer, if the Philippine government doesn't say, kailangan a certain percentage of your components should be produced domestically, not imported. The Philippines doesn't say, kailangan may waiver kayo dyan. Don't let all the mga Philippine employees there sign a contract saying whatever they learn, they can't use for 30 years until panis na technology niyan. Kung wala yung mga requirements na yan, we're not gonna get anything from them apart from that headline na momentarily may endorphin rush.
So how do we strike that balance? How do we allow foreign investors in the country in a way that grows our local industries and therefore creating more high-quality jobs for Filipinos? More on that after this break. So for Ibon Foundation's Executive Director Sonny Africa, a high-quality job has 3 key ingredients. It has to be a regular job, it has to be paying you a consistent and livable salary, and it has to protect you from volatilities in the economy. And if the government wants to achieve this with the help of foreign investors, Sonny says they can't play nice.
The Philippine government can't ask nicely. It's against the interest of literally every foreign investor in the Philippines for the Philippines to develop. Bakit? If you're a foreign manufacturer and then may mag-develop the Filipino manufacturing industry, bigla ka magka-competition for the same product in the market. Bigla ka magka-competition for the raw materials which they get from the Philippines, siguro, maybe a little bit. Bigla magka-competition even for the cheap labor. So, we have to appreciate that eh. I mean, it's not being evil. Yan ang nature ng business. Sa akin, let's embrace that. Pero, hindi natin dapat, we should develop Filipino businesses who want to make a profit because they're based in the Philippines. At kung magmula doon, we'll realize we can't ask them nicely. But as part of our exercise of our sovereignty, we can put laws in place to have technology transfer. We can have laws in place for the foreign manufacturers to be compelled after 5 years or 10 years. Hindi naman kailangan yung buong technological spectrum nila. Even just some parts of it na realistic for the Filipinos to come into. So if the government mandates or compels those firms by law or by practice to transfer a bit of a technology, that will develop Filipino industry.
Apart from ensuring that technology transfer actually happens to empower local industries, Sonny says the Philippines can work towards producing more high-quality products.
It's important for the Philippines to be producing stuff. Kasi it takes knowledge to produce stuff eh. And if you have knowledge to produce stuff, meaning science and technology to produce stuff, it means you're more productive and you can charge more for your stuff. And that's where the pay comes from. If you're only producing low quality stuff like backward, agricultural products or raw materials lamang, there's just so much you can charge for that. If you're not earning enough from what you're selling, wala ka mababalik as sahod. Diba? So again, second point, even for the point about yung higher pay comes from being more productive. Being more productive comes from having higher levels of science and technology. And the highest science and technology won't come from overseas work. Won't come even from agriculture. May limit doon. It'll come from Filipino industry. So even the pay will come from having Filipino industry.
And once we have these stronger local industries producing more products and learning from its competitors, Sonny says that the government will be able to earn more revenues to fund social protection programs, which protect Filipinos from sudden shocks to the economy.
The government has final responsibility for providing social protection kung ma-disrupt nga yung trabaho ng isang Pilipino. Saan kukuha ng kita yung gobyerno for that? From taxes. What's the best source of taxes? A really vibrant local economy, including high productivity industry, producing high technology, expensive products. So, a 10% tax on a cheap agricultural commodity is going to be much less than a 10% tax on a laptop or a car or a plane. So where do the revenues come from for social protection? From the vibrant economy. So sa amin, it's not a surprise why there's such volatility in the labor market. It's not a surprise why pay is so low. It's also not a surprise ba't ang baba nakita ng gobyerno. Because the economic fundamentals are not there. At kailangan tanggapin ng government yon. Those economic fundamentals are the ultimate starting point of high-quality jobs.
At the end of the day, Sonny believes that the core reason why it's so hard to find high-quality jobs is because the government can still do more in giving Filipino businesses a head start. And this means cultivating an environment that allows them to not only learn from the best, but to apply those lessons in making world-class products that are distinctly Filipino. By building local industries and allowing Filipino-owned businesses to thrive, the economy is able to generate more jobs that provide Filipino workers with the stable, livable income needed to thrive. And the government can start by making sure it doesn't make the same mistakes again.
The government has to realize yung problem about job creation shouldn't be put on the Filipinos because Filipinos will react to the opportunities created. The most individual job seekers can do is find jobs that are there to begin with. Kaya sa amin, yun ang kailangan mas po ng gobyerno at wag mag-victim blame, wag sabihin it's about the employability, lack of skills, jobs mismatch. Parang tignan yung sarili. Create the jobs by developing Filipino industry. Create the jobs by modernizing agriculture. Kung di nila gawin yan as a starting point, we'll be where we are right now. Hindi lang deja vu sa pagbibigay nila sa foreign investors, walang mabibigay. Wag na natin tanggapin na mauulit yung problem decade after decade after decade.
So I actually got the inspiration for this episode through online job-seeking communities that I joined when I graduated in 2022. And at that time, the economy was really just opening back up again. Now, it's been 2 years since we've reopened the economy post-COVID, but we still have people who are maybe 8 months or even 2 years out of the workforce, and they're still looking for a job. So for some, they resort to discarte, and it's often regular or seasonal work. And to make matters worse, hindi consistent or mababa yung kita. So yes, hard work and discarte are also important in landing that first job, but you have to admit, it helps a lot if the state is willing to lend you a helping hand to become the best business or the best employee that you can be. So if you've considered starting a business, I hope that this episode gives you that push to finally get started on that venture and create those jobs for our kababayans. And if you know someone who's maybe curious about why the job market feels so bad right now, or perhaps someone who's looking to start that business that can create high-quality jobs for fellow Filipinos, it would be great if you shared this episode with them. Again, I'm Tatiana Maligro. This episode was edited by Pidoy Blanco. Our Teka Teka executive producer is Jill Caro, and our editor-in-chief is Carl Javier. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka and Puma Podcast on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Thanks for listening.